Hey everybody, this is Bill. I am the salty old Marine. You know, when I first started thinking about filing a VA disability claim, one of the first thoughts that hit me was that I shouldn't do it because I'm not deserving. What do I mean by that? Well, I am, or I was at the time, in reasonably good health. Some would argue. But let's just say I'm motivating around on my own 2 feet. I got all my arms. I got my legs. Aside from being bald, everything's going pretty good physically, right? I don't feel particularly disabled, and maybe I don't look particularly disabled, and so maybe I should just leave this for the people who deserve it. I'm talking about those veterans who have suffered more than I have, and there are many. I'm talking about veterans who served in combat and veterans who were injured, physically injured. They came back with TBIs. They came back missing limbs. Yeah. Are those veterans deserving? Absolutely, they are deserving of our respect and all the aid we can possibly give them. We have taken something precious from them as a nation, and we can never make that whole, but we can try. So those veterans are absolutely deserving. Do I fit into that category? That was the question I was asking myself. And for the longest time, I did not think I was. Okay, I got out in 1985. That's an awfully long time ago, right? Decades, many decades. And I've lived my life. I've gone on. I've got a daughter and a granddaughter, and I'm coming to the end of a good career, having worked all my life. And I have a house, and I have cars, and I have a motorcycle. Well, had a motorcycle. You know what I mean. I've had an okay life. Maybe I don't deserve any VA disability. So what finally happened was I got involved with the VA because of the PACT Act. They reached out to me because I was on the Camp Lejeune registry for the contaminated water dating back to 1979. And they invited me to come down and apply for health care. And I just thought maybe it's a good idea that I do in case anything ever develops from that, like cancer, that sort of thing. So I went down and I applied, and it turned out I was already registered for the health care, so it was kind of a waste of time, but at the same time it introduced me to the VA disability system. And although I didn't know what I was doing at the time, I listed the things that were conditions that I had, physical conditions, and although I did nothing with that to develop those claims, and they were all denied, properly so, I did get called for a C&P exam for tinnitus. And I went to it, and that's where it was determined, yes, I have tinnitus. It does date back to the time in the military and a very specific event on the rifle range where my earplug fell out. My drill instructor wouldn't let me put it back in my ear, and as a result, I fired my M16 all day on the range, and by the end of that, my ear was trash, and it still is. You know, you don't think of yourself in terms of being disabled. You don't think, well, the Marine Corps caused that. My drill instructor was being an idiot and prideful and wrong and wouldn't let me put my hearing protection back in my ear as some sort of punishment for not putting it in properly to begin with, I guess. Thanks a lot, drill instructor. I now suffer from that for the rest of my life. Top notch. But I still didn't think of myself in terms of being disabled, of being deserving of, well, money, basically. But I went along with it, and it was awarded. I got a 10% disability for tinnitus, and that amounts to something like $175 a month for 10% disability. And gosh, I don't know what to think about that, right? Or I didn't at the time. You know, again, going back to those veterans who have suffered, who have served and had loss. And then I had this moment, and I went, wait a minute. I served. I suffered. I had loss. No, I didn't suffer a lot. I didn't suffer the loss of a limb. I didn't suffer a traumatic brain injury, but I have tinnitus. I had tinnitus since that day. It's ringing, it's loud, it's distracting. There are times when it drives me nuts. There are times when I can't sleep because of it. I'll be darned. I do have a disability. And the Marine Corps caused that disability. My time on active duty in the military caused that disability. And the VA agrees. So am I deserving of that disability? Yes, I am. I'm not taking away anything from other veterans. There's no pot of money that says, okay, we've got this amount of money and we're going to dole it all out based on severity. And since the salty old Marine there has a 10% disability, you all get a little bit less. It doesn't work like that. The pot of money was set aside by Congress and is an unfunded mandate. It is an amount that has to be paid. So my 10%, my $175 a month, at that time, I have a higher rating now, but at that time, my $175 a month does not take away from any other veterans at all. And furthermore, it was set up specifically by Congress. This was the intent. I am not fooling anybody. I am not bending the rules. I am not taking unfair advantage of the system. I am doing exactly what Congress intended that I do. I was damaged by my time in the service. I currently have that damage. The two are connected on an at least as likely as not basis. And according to Congress, I am therefore entitled to that disability. Okay. It took me a while to get there, but I got there. I'm going to leave you with that thought. I know some of you wrestle with this. I did. I still do to some extent. It's a tough question, isn't it? And none of us like to think of ourselves as being particularly deserving. None of us like to think of ourselves as being disabled. Even those of us who truly are disabled, right? I mean, I know folks who served in combat and are missing parts of themselves and still don't think of themselves as particularly deserving because they're getting by. It's always your call. You can choose not to avail yourself of VA disability or VA healthcare. And man, if that's you, that's fine. That's good. Do the thing that makes you feel the best. But don't ever feel like you're not deserving of VA disability. If you suffered an in-service event and you're still suffering from it today, and there's a connection between the two that you can prove, VA designed these rules for you. Congress intended this for you. So don't feel bad to take advantage of that and get what you deserve, what you earned with your service and with your sacrifice. This is Bill. I am the salty old Marine. Please like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. Tell me what your thoughts are. And as always, have a great day.